Technically speaking, technically speaking, I ain't talking vegan when I said that I've been eating, making money on the side, but I use it for the main. I'm speaking in code when I tech talk that financial freedom. Have a seat cause you gon' wanna sit up at my table, yeah. Plugged in that it, girl, IT with the cables, yeah. Network engineering is for you, it ain't no labels, yeah. Shaky with my passion, took a leap, it got me stable, yeah. Now I make 100K or better, paper couldn't fit a stapler, and I spend it on my passion cause I'm capable. Technically speaking, now I'm really talking vegan when I said that I've been eating, I've been technically speaking. Technically speaking, China white. When I've been said I've been technically speaking. Said I've been technically speaking. China white.
Started. So welcome back to another lesson in the CCNA exam prep, where we will be going through each lesson, each section every single day, so we can pass this CCNA on the first go and be able to go ahead, get to our IT goals, which is getting an IT job that makes 6 figures, okay? Whether you're trying to be a network engineer or cybersecurity, this is good for understanding infrastructure and understanding how data traverse through the network, and then you can understand how you can troubleshoot those issues or secure that data if you are in the cybersecurity realm. So let's get started here. In this exam prep, we are still in, we are in section 2, right? Network access. So yesterday we talked about configuring VLANs and verifying them. So today we're going to talk about interswitch connectivity, and how to configure and verify that. Now, we will stay in the VLAN realm. We'll talk more about VLANs, probably review some things we talked about in the last lesson, but we'll also talk about some new things as well. Another thing is we will probably go into section 2.3, configure and verify layer 2 discovery protocols, Cisco discovery protocol, and LLDP, okay? Because this is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So we're just going to talk about it while we're doing our VLANs, okay? So let's go over some practical before we start to configure. So let's pull up. Here is our PDF, interswitch connectivity. Now, last lesson, we talked about interswitch connectivity and inter-VLAN connectivity. So there are 2 different things, and they definitely we need you to understand that they are different and that they are needed in network, okay? So interswitch is basically data traveling between switches. Our VLANs communicating. There's 2 different VLANs, VLAN 10, VLAN 20 in this diagram here, and they are communicating with each other via the switches, via multiple switches. It can have 5, 6, but in this diagram, it's just going to show you 2 just to make it easier, so you can understand that interswitch connectivity means that data between 2 switches or multiple switches, okay? Now, when we're talking about inter-VLAN, I don't know why this said interswitch, but inter-VLAN connectivity, basically we are communicating with different VLANs, but we're going to need a layer 3 device, which would be a router, okay? So we have a router, a switch, 2 computers. They're in totally 2 different VLANs, but they can communicate with each other. Remember, a VLAN is just segments the traffic. It's just saying, hey, here's a virtual LAN. Right? What is a LAN? A LAN is a local area network. So this is just virtually. And virtually, we're setting up A and B. A and B may be in the same building. They may be in the same floor on that building, but they're in different VLANs to segment that traffic. Okay, we talked about that last lesson with basically I just want to make sure that this says interswitch and inter-VLAN. So yeah, it's just an error right here. I don't know why it says interswitch, but I'm going to update that before I load it to our Trello and our to our Google Drive. However, interswitch is literally switching traffic between multiple switches. Inter-VLAN is switching traffic between multiple VLANs. and you need a routing device. Okay, so I kind of want to show you a little bit of the configs we will be doing. We have to definitely create trunk ports, which makes sure that two VLANs can talk across one link, right? And then we have to well, maybe that trunk. Then we have 802.1q. Again, we talked about this, but we'll just review it. 802.1q is just the tag that's insert onto our Ethernet frame. Remember, we talked about the Ethernet frame in section 1 and how it is nothing but encapsulated data. That data is our chat, is our videos, whatever data we're sending and receiving. That data gets encapsulated by an Ethernet frame, a layer 2 frame. Okay, so while it's traversing through the LAN, that frame is getting rewritten. That frame is going from one device to the next. Now, what's going to happen is when we decide to create VLANs and segment the traffic and say, well, okay, computer A is VLAN 10, computer B is VLAN 20, we need something on this Ethernet frame to say, hey, this belongs to a different network, right? A virtual network. And that technology is called 802.1q. Remember, we talked about those IEEE folks who make standards about how we communicate and use the internet? Well, this is one of the standards. This is one of the standards that you definitely want to keep ingrained in your head. 802.1q. Okay, it's just a tag that gets inserted onto the Ethernet frame, the header of the Ethernet frame. So when the switch, the switch reads the frame to say, okay, source destination, MAC destination, your destination MAC, your source MAC, when it's reading all that, is basically also going to read it belongs to a certain VLAN, right? Native VLAN, again, we talked about this last lesson, but just to bring it up, our native VLAN is just for a VLAN that doesn't have any tag traffic. Some traffic is there for protocol purposes, like spanning tree, STP, which we'll get into. But spanning tree is one protocol that sends out traffic, and that traffic is untagged traffic. You can think about a computer. Let's say we add computer C to the network and we don't put in a VLAN, but A is in VLAN 10 and B is in VLAN 20, but C doesn't have a VLAN. The traffic that it will traverse, it won't be in the native VLAN. It wouldn't be in a VLAN 10, VLAN 20, or whatever VLAN we created because we didn't assign it a VLAN, right? It's always great to change the native VLAN to something different because as you can see, that's pretty vulnerable to just have a VLAN where untagged traffic can go. And we don't want that, right? So as you can see, for one of the security considerations is always change the native VLAN from the default, right? And just keep it consistent. But I'm going to make sure this is uploaded in our Trello. Now, moving on, just to touch over CDP, right? Like I said, we're just going to go over some of the logic of it, and then we'll start to configure. So CDP, or what they call layer 2 discovery protocol. CDP is Cisco discovery protocol, and LLDP is link layer discovery protocol, right? They're the same thing. One is clearly Cisco's protocol, and the other one is link layer. One thing I want to say is as you continue to learn protocols, you will see that Cisco just decides to branch off and just be its own thing, even though there's already a standard out here. Cisco likes stuff to be very proprietary. They like things to be only them. So they will buy the protocol. They'll have a protocol. They'll have the switch. They'll have the router. They'll have all these things that's literally just for Cisco. Think of Cisco as like Apple, right? Like Apple's so proprietary, and Cisco's the same way. As you start learning more about Cisco, maybe on the business side, you learn more. You will learn that Cisco literally buys up all the companies, all the tech companies. They do not make technology themselves, the tech themselves. They will buy, a company will come out in the reins and they will, be up and coming, and they'll have this new product, this new service, this new technology. And Cisco will just strong arm them and say, hey, we'll drop, $14.5 million on you and give me your, your secrets, and I'll put my name on it. And that's all they do. So CDP is the same thing as LLDP. CDP is literally just for Cisco devices. LLDP is for everything other than Cisco, right? Because there are companies that make IT solutions, okay, that make other networking equipment. Cisco is just the leader. CDP and LLDP are what exactly what it sounds like. They are discovery protocols. So a good example is you are new on the team. Let's say you're a senior engineer, network engineer. You're new on the team. You just started 1 week, and you are looking through the company's documents, and you see that they don't really have good documentation about the network and the layout of the network. They don't have topologies drawn out. It's just it's nasty. So in order to understand kind of what devices are connected to what, and you'll probably end up trying to draw your own topology out so you can understand the flow and how the traffic travels, so you can better troubleshoot it. You would use these protocols, CDP and LLDP, to help you find out what device is connected to what, right? So let's say a switch, we have these switches right here, they're connected to each other. So as an engineer, you would probably go into this switch and run a CDP command like show CDP neighbors or something. And this switch will say, oh, well, this device is connected through my port. Let's say it's port 2. Port 2, I have connected this device, and it's a switch and gives it information about it, and then let's say we go into this switch now, because we found the switch, we go into this switch, we say show CDP neighbors or something like that. And this switch will say, well, I know this switch in my port 1, and I know another switch right here in my port 3 or something, right? It's just so we can draw out that topology. Now, even if they have good documentation, it's still good to use CDP again, so you can see what's all connected to this device. One thing I can say is right now in my job, I am tasked to decommission a lot of their Cisco servers, a lot of their Cisco devices, right? And me doing a discovery, let's say what's a couple switches, couple gateways that we have to decommission. But like for one of them, I'm on one of our servers, I can literally say show CDP, and it will tell me everything that's connected to that server. So I know if it's in production or not. I can go ahead and just turn off the network link or submit a change request to turn off the virtual machine. Because I have to have the server team do that. Even though I know how to do that, it's still, checks and balances at work. So I have to submit a ticket to say, hey, can you, turn off this virtual machine, this server? Because that's really what it is, a virtual machine. And they're going to ask me, are you sure that it's not in production? Did you get, handoff on this, or whatever the case may be? And for me, I've definitely used CDP to see what was connected to the server. And they were devices that were connected, and I could see that either they weren't in production, I didn't see any traffic moving on these devices, or I would contact the network team, because I'm in the voice team. Even though I'm a network engineer, I'm specifically voice and video. So I have to contact a guy who's just networking, data networking, not wireless or anything. And I have to say, hey, can you check and see and make sure that everything, that this device you're not using it anywhere on your side of the house. And mostly he just runs the IP address of the device, switch or router or server, and lets me know like, oh no, this is not me. You can turn it off, right? So CDP is good to use. LLDP is where there's non-Cisco devices. You will see also that there will be Cisco and non-Cisco devices in environments. They have a mixture sometimes, because Cisco can be very expensive and very tedious with its support. And sometimes companies don't like that. So for me at my job, I'm decommissioning. They have about 12 Cisco servers. I'm decommissioning 10, and I'm only keeping 2. However, they have a whole bunch of Cisco ADPs like Meraki. They have, those are wireless access points. They also have a bunch of switches, Catalyst switches, Cisco Catalyst, and they have some Cisco routers, some ISRs, some ASRs. And the only reason why I know these is because I work in the data center as well. So I have to take inventory of these devices. So as you start, getting into the job and being hands-on on things, you will too start to remember like, oh, all we have is Catalyst switches, so it'll be in your head to know like, oh, we use Catalyst 2960s or something, right? Because you're constantly logging into these things, and these are the names of them. Okay. And this is just, a couple little notes here. So let's actually go ahead and see how we can configure interswitch routing. I'm trying to figure out where, oh, here we go. My packet tracer. Now, everybody should already have packet tracer downloaded, okay? This was from last class, because last lesson, we were configuring VLANs. So we'll do some configuring VLANs here, but the point is to configure 2 switches and 2 different VLANs, and each device and each VLAN can talk to each other, okay? So let's do that. This will be simple. So in your Cisco packet tracer, right, we're going to let's start off with a computer and device here. Hold on one moment. Let me make sure. I don't know if I can make it bigger, but you should be able to see. So in devices, right, we're going to click on in devices, and we want a computer and another computer, right, on each. Actually, well, they could be on each side. And then let's do networking device. Let's go to switches down here. And let's do not a 29. Let's do this one here. 2950. 2 of these bad boys. Okay. Now we have to connect them. So we're going to go over here to connections. Okay. So a switch and a switch. This is a great time to practice your Ethernet cabling connections, because it will be on the exam. So a switch and a switch will connect with what type of device? A crossover or a straight through. So they are like devices. So we're going to use a crossover. Yes, yes, correct. So we're going to do fast. We could just pick any port, honestly. I just picked the first available one. Now the next device, we want to connect a PC, a computer, and a switch. These are 2 unlike devices. So what Ethernet cable would that be? Crossover or straight through? Straight through. So again, I just choose the first one that's available. And then obviously we're going to do another one because it's the same unlike devices, okay? So let me just straighten that up here. Okay, so 2 switches. Now, just to keep it looking a little like something, let's put a laptop here and a laptop here, right? And then let's take our straight through cable and just put it here, okay? Just for illustration, right? Nothing, just for the look of it. Okay, cool. So now we are going to, that's my alarm. So now we're going to add in some VLANs. Well, before I add in the VLANs, I like to draw, separate it in like a visual way always. So we're going to have a little right here, and we're going to have a little right here. And let's just go ahead and do this as well. That's no bueno. Let's delete that. Delete that, and let's delete that. And then let's make another one. All right, cool beans. Now I like to label everything. So let's go ahead and make some notes. So I'm gonna just put it right here. I'm gonna say VLAN 10 HR. Right over here, I'm gonna say VLAN 20. Actually, I'm gonna keep it at the top because they're gonna be different. VLAN 10 HR. Okay. So what we have is VLAN 10 HR over here in this building. Actually, let's change it to Houston, right? Boom. And then VLAN 10 HR. And this is in ATL. Okay. So yeah, they have the same VLAN numbers, but they're on totally different networks. How do we know they're on different networks? Because we're about to create them different networks. Let's say in Houston, well, they're on the same network, but different subsets. So let's do point. Yeah, let's keep it simple. So I can get my point across with inter VLAN. Because to be honest, as a person coming in, they won't let you create VLANs, right? So just know you got to be a special person to come in and start creating configs. They're probably going to want to see extensive background. But even if they do want you to create, these VLANs, if you're in the boot camp, you have my support and the team support. We'll hop on a call with you and help you create those VLANs at work. And it's nothing if you not in the boot camp, you can definitely pull this video up or YouTube something, Google something, and create VLANs. It's not that crazy. Okay, and then let's just make sure we got VLAN 20, right, in Houston. And we're going to do another VLAN 20, but in ATL. Okay. I'll delete that. All right. So this laptop, let's just say they work from home. Okay. They just here in the thick of things. Okay. So we got our VLANs, we got our IPs. So the first thing we like to do is configure this IP address for the computers. Now, usually in a big company, you have what's called a DHCP server that will automatically allocate this IP address to the computer. So once it plugs in into the switch will automatically give it an IP address. Because why? Because we have a DHCP server that automatically does that. But right now, we just set up our small topology, small little company. We're gonna configure an IP address on to each computer, right? We only have 2 of them that we're gonna configure. Okay, cool. Let me pull this up. This is my way. So we have this. So what you would do, go into, I think it's desktop, and we're gonna go to our command prompt, because where do you go to look at your IP information on your computer? The command prompt. So we're going to do the same thing in this virtual, actually, no, not in this one, because this is packet tracer, not GNS. So we're going to have to go into the interface and go into fast Ethernet. Yep. And instead of DHCP, which sometimes is automatically, highlighted, click on static, because what are we doing? We're going to statically add an IP, and we're just going to put this IP right here. 192.168.1.2. Now we can literally click out of here and it will automatically add the subnet mask. The subnet mask we have, I kept it very simple, right? So we don't have to do all this math. So it's /24. We know the /24. /24 is our subnet mask. It's the bits that are on. It's where our network is at. So our network is the first octet, the second octet, the third octet. That's 24. 8 times 3, 24, whatever. If you don't remember that, go revisit our subnetting class. But as you can see, it's written in dot notation. /24 is 255 first octet, 255 second octet, 255 third octet, right? That's all we're counting. So the fourth octet, we just put a 0 because we already used up all 24 bits, okay? Boom, so that's our subnet mask. It's already gonna be saved, you can click exit. Do the same thing for PC1, right? Let me look at this IP address. So we're gonna go into config, fast ethernet, make sure it's static, IP address, 192.168.1.3 and /24, okay? Keeping it same network so we can get the point across of switching between between multiple switches, because I don't want you guys to get too confused about different subnet masks. Let's wait until we get to that part of the class. However, you see that we added the IPv4 and we added a subnet mask, okay? Well, it automatically added that. Exit, boom. Now, what we have to do is we have to configure the switches. On the switch, we have to create the VLAN, right? And we also have to, I think, just create the VLAN. Oh, and the trunk. We have to trunk this. So what is this right here? I don't know what this is. I think this was fast Ethernet 02. Okay, cool. And this is what you can hover over it and sometimes it'll tell you, okay, so 02 and 03 will be access. So let's go ahead and go into here. We're gonna go to the CLI. Let's blow that baby up. Hopefully you guys can see this. I don't know how to make it bigger, but you should be good. So this, when you go into the CLI, it'll already have some stuff. It'll tell you that, as you can see, these are called system logs. And it's just telling you that in interface 02, interface 01, interface 03 have been changed to up because they've been connected. And we did connect, right? So we go into the switch. It'll always look like this. Most of the time you have to log in. That's great security. There's no security on here because we just downloaded Packet Tracer. We don't, this is a new environment. So the first thing you do is you have to enable the switch so you can start doing things. I do EN. That's my shortcut. For you newbies out there, you spell out enable, right? Enable, enter. So you see down here, as it changed from to a like a hashtag, to a pound key, okay? That means that you now have enabled to a different access to the switch. All right, so now that we are in the switch, we want to get into the configuration terminal so we can configure things, okay? You can type out configuration terminal.
In today's fast-paced world of technology, staying ahead of the curve is essential for success. But with the ever-expanding landscape of IT certifications, mastering the right skills can seem like a daunting task. Introducing Tech Exam Mastery, your ultimate solution for conquering IT certification exams with confidence. Whether you're aiming to become a networking guru, a cloud computing expert, or a blockchain innovator, Tech Exam Mastery has you covered. Our meticulously curated notes provide in-depth coverage of key concepts, organized in a clear and concise format, saving you time and effort in your exam preparation. Join the thousands of IT professionals who have unlocked their full potential with Tech Exam Mastery. Accelerate your career growth, expand your skill set, and boost your earning potential. Don't just adapt to change, lead it. Tech Exam Mastery. Comprehensive prep notes for IT professionals. Click the link below to learn more.
Finger all the time. Okay, I'll type so much that it won't even be what I said because I'm just going fast. So as a shortcut, we do Conf T. Yes, Conf, right? Conf, CONF, and then space, and then T. Actually, for the newbies, let's do Conf IG. Let's do an IG. So because I believe that will be on the exam. Config T. Conft is more just another shortcut for people who just been doing it for so long, but I want to do it so you can understand it on a to help you with, your exam. So config T, CONFIG space T. All right. So as you can see, we are now in the switch in the configuration terminal. Showed it right here. All right. So what do we want to do? Let's go ahead and start with the VLANs. Okay. So we want to add VLANs to the switch first thing. So you would just do VLAN, what we did, VLAN 10. Okay. Enter. And what did we name VLAN 10? I think we named it HR. So we're going to say name HR. Okay. And when I'm press enter, as you see, the switch went into configuration VLAN. So what do you want to do with this VLAN 10? How do you want to configure it? I want to name it HR. I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to say, what else you want to do with this, right? I don't want to do anything. I just want to create the VLAN 10 and name it HR. Exit. So I'm done. Now I want to create VLAN 20. I don't think we gave VLAN 20 in there. So what are we going to do? Let's name it sales. Okay. Boom. Now we exit. Some people like to, what they call write memory, save the memory. So save these configs. Most of the time it's automatically going to save you the configs, but you sometimes want to be in the habit. So we do, I think it's WR, do write. That means save. Yeah, saving. Okay. And you can also exit again. And then you can say show command, show VLAN. Okay. So we show VLAN. We want to show the VLANs that's created on. Now, as you can see, our HR VLAN 10 has been created and our VLAN 20 sales has been created. All right, cool. So we did that. Now, what we have to do is take these VLANs and connect them, assign them to an interface. Okay, and I believe it was interface 2 for VLAN 10. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go into the config terminal. Config T. I just press enter a lot just so it's not like everything's jumbled up. It's like spacing. I don't know, maybe if you guys did a little coding or something, you kind of know like sometimes you just space it out so everything is not jumbled. You can kind of read nicely. If you have to go back up, like if I have to go back up, I can kind of read this, right? It's not all like jumbled up in a line. And that's just me, you don't have to do that. That's not like a standard. I don't know if you see somebody else do that, maybe not. This is just what I do because I have to understand what I'm doing. Anyway, so config T, we're already configuration terminal. Now we want to configure the interface and assign it to a VLAN. So we're going to go to, let me move this here. We're going to do interface. Now, again, fat finger stuff. Sometimes I don't spell things right. So for me, I would do shorthand INTER, right? That's interface. But I'm just going to spell it out for you guys. So interface, and I believe we had Ethernet 02. So I do FA 0/2. I mean, this is shorthand for everybody. But sometimes on the exam, you may see the actual name, which is Fast Ethernet. It'll actually be spelled out Fast Ethernet. I'm not going to do that. But it's just like you can see here with these ports, they have FA. So I'm believing that even on the exam that, shorthand will be A-okay. But anyway, Fast Ethernet 02. This is the interface, the port. I'm going to press enter. So now, just like the VLAN, we are in the configuration terminal of the interface. What do you want to do with this interface? Let's add a VLAN. Switch port. I ain't gonna go too far deep into these because we went over that last lesson. So switch port, access, we're only gonna add one VLAN, VLAN 10, enter, all right? And it didn't give me any error, so obviously that must did good. So I'm gonna exit. And I'm literally gonna do the same thing with Fast Ethernet port 3. So let's do interface, Fast Ethernet 0/3. Now we're in that bad boy. Switch, port, access, VLAN 20 is what we're gonna assign it. Okay, that's good. Exit. And then I think we had another one. That's what we're probably going to trunk it. Yes, interface, FA0/ we did 3, 2, so it's 1, 0/1. Okay, so we're gonna do switch port, mode, switch port and mode D, trunk. We're trunking it. This is our trunk command, right? And then that was it, right? So we're just gonna exit again. So just to get in the habit, do right. Okay, exit again. Now what you can do is you can try different show commands, like for instance, to verify what you just did is show, let's just say show interface, or let's do show interfaces. I think that's what that is. If you ever, oh, I spelled it wrong. If you ever get confused, you can say like, okay, show interface, and you can put a question mark, and then it'll tell you like, you mean interfaces, right? So I'm gonna put the S, and then I'll press enter, and they'll give me all the interfaces. Okay. This FO2, oh, FO right here. Let's see. Actually, it's a better command to show. Let's just press something, exit out. Let's do show interfaces question. How about this? Let's do show VLAN question. They're just gonna keep the question. Let me see. I'm thinking of some other commands I can show you that'll show up all of the commands we just did, but this is a 2950. 2950. Let me Google some commands, because it could be, let's do, hold on, before I Google that, let's look at the show command. Show let's see, let me look. Commands for interfaces. Okay, we could do interface, show interface trunk. Maybe it's not a 2960. Okay, let's do this. We can always do show, we can always do help. I think it's help. No, this is a different route. This is a different switch. So you can't do every command. Oh, I see a question here. Let's see. Show interfaces trunk. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yes, let me try that. Thank you, Ashley. Let me just see. Okay. Show interfaces trunk. Because it says it's only on the 285. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Ashley. Okay. I'm over here trying to Google and you got the answer. So show interfaces trunk. Okay, make sure it's interfaces. As you can see, we have port FA1, 2, and 3. Okay, we have, and this is for allowed VLANs on this trunk. And then we have on this port specific interfaces allowed, specific VLANs allowed, right? And this is only for switching this access port. So they're only switching traffic for one VLAN per interface, right? Interface 3, you can do, it has these 3 as well, but they're trunked. So you kind of just, I think from the last lesson, we went more deep dive into the VLANs and how you can see, but at least you can see that we've connected these interfaces to these VLANs. And I'm looking here, I see we have desirable, the trunking protocols. Yeah, so we have, this is a good one. This is a good show command. Thanks, Ashley. So that's, boom, there you go. You see what you just did. You have to do the same thing on the other switch, okay? So we're literally just gonna exit out of here. Let me see, let me take an inventory of what this is. This is 02 for 10, and I think 03 for 20 as well, right? It's not showing me, let me see what this is. Yep, this is 01. So yeah, they're the same. So the CLI, let's pull it up. Okay, enable. ConFT. ConFT, we're going to do VLAN 10. Name, HR, exit. Let's do VLAN 20. Name, that was what, sales, I believe. Okay, we're gonna exit. We can do the do right? Let's exit some more. Oh no, on FT. So we did the VLANs. We got to do the interfaces. They were the same. So interface FA02 /0/2. And we're gonna do switch port access VLAN 10. Be careful, goodness gracious, okay? And then exit, you can do interface FA0/3. Was it 3? Yep, 3. And then you do switch port access VLAN 20. All right, you can exit out of that. And then we want to do interface, that was 0/1. Yes. Switch port mode trunk. Basically, this command switch port mode trunk is saying this is where you add the tag, the .10Q tag, the 802.1 tag, however you want to say it. 802.1Q. However you know what I'm saying, you may hear .Q, you may hear 802.1Q, whatever. This is what this command does. Okay. And then exit, right? All right, so now our beautiful exit show interfaces trunk. Okay, same commands. Okay, and I think if we do show VLANs, show VLAN, you can see the same thing as well. So these two switches have the exact same configurations. Okay, and the configurations is literally layer 2 traffic. That's all we care about is layer 2 traffic. Layer 2 traffic deals with what? MAC addresses. Okay, so it's just taking the switch is just taking the MAC address and forward it through. So the only thing we need with the computers, let me exit out of this so I can show you. Only thing we needed with the computers was to add this IP so we can do the ping command. Okay, so let's go ahead. These are connected. This was just here for show because I just wanted to show you like full topology. So let's go ahead and go into the desktop and command prompt. That's what we're going to ping. And we're going to ping this one because we're in PC0 and we want to see, can we talk to PC1? Okay. What's the thing? 268.1.3. Enter. And as you can see, ping is successful. Okay. And you can just check it on this end too. PC1. Let's go into the desktop, go into the command terminal. Ping is our keyword. Ping. Do we have connection to this device? That's what ping means, right? And you got to put in the other IP, right? Now, if they were on different networks, right? Let's say it wasn't a /24, it was a /23. Well, as you can see, we was able to ping just fine. So if it was a /24 right in Houston and a /23 in ATL, we would need some type of layer 3 device, okay, to talk against different networks. This is literally just segments the network, which is the VLAN, but we kept it in this same subnet, this same network, because all we're using is 2 switches, okay? We're not going to use inter-VLAN routing, which would need an actual route, okay? Inter-VLAN routing, we did that last lesson, but we're definitely gonna do it some more in future lessons. I just don't want you to get confused in learning so many different protocols at once. So for your homework, I want you to go ahead and do these same commands, right? These same things on your end so you can get in the habit of show VLAN. You get in the habit of VLAN 20, name, HR. And you know what I'm saying? Like you just want to have this muscle memory. You see how fast I was able to do it? Because it's like muscle memory on just adding these in, especially in my early career. I don't really do too much of VLANs now because I have to work with a network guy, and he does that because I'm literally just voice. And voice is just one VLAN, and he usually just turns that on, and that's that for the network. Oh, CDP. Let's look into CDP. Let's go ahead into the switch, right? And again, CDP is just discovering a protocol. So you can say show, okay, sometimes they say configure CDP. CDP is defaulted on all Cisco devices. So there wouldn't be no need to try to configure CDP on it at first unless you disable it, right? So first, since CDP is automatically on by default on Cisco devices, that will be a question on the exam, right? So you might want to write that down. So show CDP, and it tells you some information that is on. Global CDP information is sending packets every 60 seconds. It's sending a hold time value of 180 seconds, and it's sending CDP version 2 advertisement. That's enabled. Okay, we can do show CDP. Show CDP, I think entry maybe. Yeah, entry with the little asterisk, and it shows you the entries. We have it on already on this switch on port 01. That's the one that's connected to the other switch, and it just tells you the software version. It tells you it's full duplex and the version 2. So it kind of basically just shows you the same thing here, low key, just in a little more detail. Yeah, kind of the same. So let's do show. There we go. Let's do show CDP N-I-N-E-I-G-H. I can't spell worth it down. Show CDP neighbors. Enter. So then you can see here that the networking device is connected to is 01, which we know because that's the one connected to the other switch. Okay, so it's going to tell you if it was connected to a whole bunch of other devices, networking devices, then you would see them here. But that's usually the commands you'll use. Show CDP, see if it's enabled. Show CDP neighbors. Show CDP entry if you want a little more detail. But show CDP neighbors is pretty good. And again, it's going to be the same thing for LLDP. So you'll do the same thing. Show LLDP neighbors. Let's see. That seems about it. I mean, you can disable this if you wanted to. A lot of times they disable it because if a hacker, somebody with malicious intent get into this switch, all they can do is say show CDP neighbors and see all the devices and do a hop and take your whole network down, right? So most of the time they be like, turn that CDP stuff off. So it may be where you don't even see the CDP enabled automatically, and you're going to have to enable it yourself. So you can say, well, let's turn it off. So I think it's no CDP. Usually to turn something off, you just do a no command. Okay, so no, that one is. So, oh, well, let's do config FT. And let's do no CDP. Oh, it says it's not complete, so no CDP, let's question mark. No CDP run. Okay, so that's the full command. No CDP run, and then enter. And didn't do anything, so now we can exit out and say show SHOW, show CDP. And it will tell you that CDP is not enabled. It's not enabled because we just freaking disabled it, okay? And we'll just literally reverse that if we wanted to enable it, okay? Reverse it as in, go back to config T, config terminal, say CDP run, enter, exit out, go back to regular, and then say show CDP. So if it was disabled, you could, especially if you're the admin, go ahead and enable CDP. And now you can see it again. Okay, that's really CDP in a nutshell. Again, it's the same thing for LLDP. The same command, show LLDP neighbors, like same thing. As you advance in your career, you'll learn a lot more caveats to CDP and LLDP. But I don't want to get too far into it because you don't really need it. You don't really need that knowledge unless you plan on being an architect or something, which this class is not for. And